The ideological and theoretical gates. In organizing, theory is an unavoidable obstacle. It is challenging and less immediately gratifying than impulsive, visible action. But visible action, once reified, runs the risk of being reduced to symbolism. By contrast, theorizing is a kind of endless, lived action, similar to learning. Group praxis confronts this dilemma by developing a theory of doing, with an emphasis on learning. Since it is necessary to objectify our knowledge in order to historicize the experience, ideology is the essential codification of our learning. The problem is that ideology is immediately insufficient and outmoded. The most extremist forms of ideology offer final solutions to endless problems. If we're to transcend our current situation by employing what we learn, ideology must only serve as a perpetual stepping stone. It's the lesson that must be surpassed as we continue to learn. These lessons must become embodied in our actions so that we can throw away the codes. Still, security culture is important, and codes serve a protective function as ideological barricades. Within our movements and organizations, there are procedures, signs, and gestures that are inherently significant. The things you know if you know. They carry permanent, static meaning. We know them because, like the culture of the dominant class, we've internalized them, knowingly or not. Ideology is dead knowledge of the past, imported from other times and other spaces. There are many motivations for studying it, including malicious ones. People learn the language of our movements from internal and external sources before, during, and after their participation in any specific group. But because the signs of ideology are not grown in-house, they can be faked. As a security gate, ideology is only effective if it is dogmatic, authoritarian, and idealistic. This kind of ideology asks for obedience as proof, something that anyone, in theory, could technically do, opening a group to the threat of imposters and saboteurs. Demanding evidence is also problematic from within an organization or social movement. It allows the possibility for hierarchical leadership and loyalty tests. With such a security strategy, we would, in effect, only permit entry to the people with the worst politics, and alienate ourselves from each other and from freedom in general. The practice of putting people on the spot to interrogate their ideological fidelity is an unnecessary moralization of political practice. With respect to the freedom of others, the correct ethical action is not to use your ideology to alienate them from their own moral responsibility to decide. Group praxis prioritizes ethical relationships, meaning it does not promote reductive ideology that attempts to establish stable and universal lines. The difficulty in understanding, learning, and producing theory distinguishes it from ideology. There's a multiplicity of possible interpretations of a situation or readings of a text. And unlike a gate that requires specific keys for entry, theory permits those who study and collaborate, those who discuss and learn. Ideology is imported and ready-made, but theory can be developed organically through group praxis. In this way, a group of individuals simultaneously creates the gate and develops methods for moving through it together. So, group praxis is not simply the application of ideology as a group. It is a synthesis of multiple perspectives into a single totalizing activity. The homemade meaning formalized through group praxis is distinct in that it cannot be learned from outside. And if it is genuinely not dogmatic, it cannot be picked up somewhere else and used as proof for infiltrating movements. Theory is not performative, but creative. Theorizing produces and reproduces action. Unlike ideology, it does not need to be rhetorically persuasive. It needs to be practically applicable. And because it continues to develop, the proof demanded by a theoretical gate comes in the form of continued engagement, not deference. This means learning and dialogue with others instead of memorized reproduction. This also means distinguishing theory from personal opinion and dogma. Groups should emphasize theory to protect themselves from security breaches, to limit the influence of savvy and opportunistic individuals, and to demand action, not symbolism or gesture, from participants. And in this way, there could be group praxis worthy of employing in a revolution that aims to transform society.